Hi everyone, my name is Juliana, and today I will be addressing our week 12 readings, the analysis of California's forced sterilization programs once harmed thousands, especially Latinas, the paper on James Marion Sims, Savior and Sadist, as well as the article on involuntary sterilization by Allison McKibben. So first, I would like to answer our first question. So 2 or 3 patterns of harm that I saw in these readings were obviously control over women of color, or just basic, or in general, just people of color. And then also I saw a lot of non-consensual forms of, I guess, abuse, I think, and then some industries that benefited. I definitely think the white people, especially white women, benefited from this because they didn't have to be performed on in order to sort of find the cure for certain things. I think medicine industries have benefited from this as well because they did find things, but the way they went about it was absolutely terrible. And and then 2 laws or policies that supported or encouraged the patterns of harm. I think that one of the laws would be the California Eugenic Law that was passed in 1909 that basically allows anybody committed into a state institution to be sterilized. I think this one really did a lot because it basically meant if you were instituted into a state, you could be sterilized. You don't have to give consent, right? So that one was one of the ones I believe they used a lot to have control over the people, and as well as the federal trust responsibility. This one specifically because it says that this legal precedent established that because tribes were relegated to a domestic dependent status, the federal government assumed authority over and responsibility for tribes and their members. So it gave control over the tribes, right? Just because they wanted healthcare. Those are 2 of the laws I felt that really gave control over them. And then a specific way these particular forms of oppression connect to bell hooks or Patricia Hill Collins. I said Patricia Hill Collins because I remember Patricia Hill Collins talked about intersectionality, which I felt these articles further proved how women of color face more and severe discrimination than a man of color would, because or just a woman who I guess a white woman would, because being the lesser in both, right, gender and race, meant that they got severe discrimination and they literally had no voice. In each of these articles that we read, they had no voice and they couldn't express or just say no, because then it wouldn't matter. Though there was literally laws against it. So yeah. And then after finding I found 2 organizations that have fought against to protect the bodies and autonomy of women. And the 2 that I found was the Sister Song, which is a U.S.-based organization that advocates for reproductive justice by centering the voices and needs of women of color, LGBTQ+ people, and other marginalized communities through education, policy, and grassroots organizing. Another one I found was Equality Now. Excuse me. Equality Now, which is a global human rights organization that works to end violence and discrimination against women and girls by using legal advocacy to reform laws and protect human rights. And after doing a little bit of research on those 2, I feel like what needs to be done to ensure that this doesn't happen again is I definitely think that education is necessary, because if I hadn't taken a course like this, I wouldn't have really known, right? And so it wasn't taught to me in grade school. So I think that this does need to be taught to people. They need to know so that people can speak up against these injustices and so that they don't happen again, and fight for their communities and for their people. And I also think that if it does happen, then severe punishment needs to be given to those that administer these injustices. I think that's pretty simple. Like, they need to be punished no matter what color, race, gender they may be. Like, it just doesn't matter. And yeah, when I was reading these, I felt very sad. It was disgusting to read a lot, especially on the slave women and how they were treated and the pain that they went through, and the fact that they weren't even given like medication to like anesthesia, that they were just given morphine. They got them addicted to morphine. It was just saddening to see, to read about. And the fact that people, even from, reading about how women like me have been, I guess they've been sterilized without consent, and it's just sad to see. But yeah, thank you for watching. Bye bye.